You might be thinking to yourself, SEC schedule coming up for Georgia this year. Look, we just got off the national championship game. We weren't in it. We're sad. We're depressed. Guess what? We're going to give you some encouragement because Georgia is going to play some absolute bona fide stud teams this year. We're going to talk about who of those teams might be making the playoff, as well as a little bonus for the loyal third segment listener right at the end. Stay tuned. This is Locked On Bulldogs.
You are Locked On Bulldogs, your daily podcast on the Georgia Bulldogs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Bulldogs podcast. I am Daniel. He is Clint. LinkedIn Jobs is who is bringing us today's episode. Thank you to them. More on them in a bit. As Clint mentioned, it's still college football season. I'm not sure if you were aware of that. The college football season, it included yesterday. There was a game yesterday. Michigan won the national championship yesterday. Pretty unentertaining game, if I'm being honest. I really wanted a good game. It was pretty non-entertaining. Washington had a million chances and just could not do anything. Credit to the Michigan defense.
You just absolutely lost all sense of who you were. I mean, that when they went for it on fourth, didn't get it, and then the wide open throw to Roma and missed it completely. That was like, well, that's the game. This is going to be completely boring from here on out.
Have you ever seen an offensive line play worse than Washington's offensive line did last night? It was an absolute train wreck. If you wonder why Kirby Smart and elite teams recruit the way that they do, now you know, because if you don't, you look like that in the trenches.
Yes.
So, football season's still going on, though. We're less than 9 months away from Georgia's first game, and so that doesn't feel like enough time to talk about all the things we need to talk about this offseason, but we're going to try. One of those things is looking ahead to Georgia's schedule next year. We were asked a question by a listener. I apologize. I don't have the email in front of me, so I don't have the question. By the way, if you
listen to our people, is what you're saying.
We do. If you want to dictate what we talk about on the show, send us an email, lockedonbulldogs@gmail.com.
Wow.
And you can be the executive producer for a day. Like that's the
Lord knows that we don't have one. So
we need one. And so let us know what you want us to talk about this offseason, lockedonbulldogs@gmail.com. Would love to hear from you if you have ideas. Let's talk about who from Georgia's schedule could, first of all, Georgia's going to make the playoff next year. I'm not sure if you're aware of that. I'm aware of that. Georgia's making the playoff next year. But they won't be the only team. There's a chance we might play somebody twice. And as this playoff expands to 12 teams, the likelihood you're going to play somebody twice in a season is going to get greater and greater and greater because you've got the regular season, then you've got the SEC championship game potentially if Georgia's in that, and then you have the college football playoff, which will include not one, but at least two. I'm going to say we'll get to who we think is going to make it. At least two of the people on Georgia's schedule are going to join Georgia in the college football playoff. And so, Clint,
here's a quick hint, by the way. Just I'm gonna not bury the lead. Florida's not one of those two.
No, it's not Florida.
It's not Florida. Billy Napier, to reach a championship, will have to go back to the Sun Belt.
I was with a group of friends last night, not Georgia fans, but just with a group of friends watching the national championship game.
Okay.
And somebody who's not a Georgia fan, not a Florida fan, just a college football fan, said, do you remember there was a time several years ago, many years ago now, there was a time when I thought Florida, this is what he said, I thought Florida would never not be good at football. Like there was a time when they were cooking and you were like, Florida's just never not going to be great.
90s, early 2000s, you just said to yourself, pencil them in every single year to be in the national conversation, national championship conversation. That's not reality.
That time has passed, and it's long since passed. All right, Let's start here.
Yeah.
If you had to choose only one team from Georgia's 2024 schedule as the most likely team to join Georgia in the college football playoff, you can only have one. Who are you going to go with?
It's Alabama, y'all. Alabama is
I
just like Georgia.
hate you.
I know you hate me. I get it. I understand. You understand. We all understand. Now, listen to me. I want to be very, very, very clear. We are every single year we're going to be in the playoff because they expanded it. They were stupid. They let more teams in, and it's going to be the top 5 best teams that are shooting it out every single year in the college football playoff. Okay, you can expand it to 20 if you want, 25. I don't care. Georgia's going to be in every single year. However, with that, Alabama's also going to be in it every single year.
Yeah, they're going to make the playoff, guys. I don't. Jalen Milroe could single-handedly carry them to the playoff next year to 10-2 and making the college football playoff.
He can't. He can't air.
No, he wouldn't be able to throw them into the playoff, but he would be able to run them into the playoff single-handedly next year. Yeah. He could do that. Alabama's too talented. Yeah. They're too good, and again, all you have to do in the SEC is go 10-2, and you're in the playoff.
That's it.
Like almost without exception, the first 10-2 SEC team that doesn't make the playoff, I will be dumbfounded, shocked. So you're going to tell me that you don't think Alabama's going to go 10-2 next year? I know they have to play Georgia.
Sure.
They draw Oklahoma, not Texas, next year. Oh, that's not great. They avoid Ole Miss next year. Yeah. Oh, that's advantageous for Alabama. So I know that it's still an interesting schedule that Alabama plays. They play at Wisconsin next year, Clint. Were you aware of that? They're going to play the Fighting Fickles of Wisconsin on the road. By the way, it's not going to be a challenging matchup for Alabama.
It's not going to be a challenging matchup, but by the way, give me the spread on that game because the nation's going to overreact to that. And I'm just here to tell you, at Wisconsin, against an offensive line and Fickle, it's going to be closer. It's not going to be competitive. Like, hear me. I'm not saying it's going to be competitive. Alabama's going to have that game in hand, but give me the line. Give me the line on that. They
might start to play jump around. Things might start to get a little weird.
It's going to get weird
in Wisconsin. Alabama's going to make the playoff. That's the obvious choice. Maybe not the only team though from Georgia's schedule that's going to make the playoff. We've got others that we're going to choose from right after this, which is coming up right now.
Daniel, I applaud you in all that you do. Can I just say that I like you? That
sentence was constructed exactly how I intended for it to be when I started it.
This is LinkedIn Jobs.
Also constructed is LinkedIn Jobs.
LinkedIn Jobs is better constructed than Daniel and I's verbiage, vernacular, everything. Because let me tell you why. They're pros at what they do, and what they do is find the right person for the right team. Your team. Maybe they're going to find you a better team. Maybe they're going to find you the right team. Daniel and I love LinkedIn. It's fantastic. It's the best. They have millions upon millions upon millions of network connections. And if you know anything about jobs, and if you know anything about how to get employed, it's who you know and who knows you best, because they're going to get you with the right culture, the right fit, the right team. LinkedIn Jobs is that. They have millions upon millions. Go over there right now. LinkedIn Jobs, linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. Post your job for free. You're going to let everybody know you're hiring. The whole square is going to light up. It's going to be like an open season sign to come find top tier talent. Post your job for free. For Locked On Bulldogs listeners, linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. You mentioned that it's probably not the only team that we're going to see Georgia play that has a chance to be a repeat opponent in 2024.
Yep.
Daniel, you asked me, so we both agree it's Alabama, but I'm going to ask you, if you had a second team, you now expand. I'm not just forcing you to choose one. You could choose two. Who's the second team from Georgia's schedule that is going to be in the playoff according to you?
If you can only choose two,
correct,
I think it gets really tough. I think it's a really tough decision.
At first glance, it looks easy, but I'm here to tell you,
it's very tough. And I'm just going to go ahead and spoil where we're going to go next. And I'm going to tell you that I think 3 of Georgia's opponents from 2024 are going to make the playoff, but I don't think 4 of Georgia's opponents from 2024 are going to make the playoff. And
Now that's wild to me, actually.
Yeah. So I think only 3 are going to make it. And so my next decision is going to be even tougher than this decision, but I'm going to take kind of the obvious low-hanging fruit here, and I'm going to say that it's going to be Texas.
Yes.
Not only does Texas have the most talented roster of any of the remaining teams on Georgia's schedule, they're also very well coached, and they're also a very easy, likable national brand for the business of college football. And if you think that doesn't matter, let me remind you that Alabama made it to the college football playoff instead of an undefeated Florida State. Let me remind you that Paul Feinbaum is an idiot. So I think being ranked preseason number 1, number 2, whatever Texas is going to be ranked, I think that helps. That's going to help you in the long run of staying inside the top 12. I also think they get Georgia at home, which means that they are more likely to win that game than some of the other teams. And so I'm going to say it's Texas. They're the ones that are going to make the playoff. I think Quinn Ewers is going to come back. Obviously, right now, we don't know for sure if Quinn Ewers is going to come back, but I think he is. If it's Arch Manning, I probably will change my mind. But I like Texas. I like what they're bringing in, and mostly I like Sark and their ability to navigate the new SEC in a way that I don't think many people necessarily expected them to before this year.
No, I think coming out with a bang and beating Alabama this year was an incredible linchpin to success and give that team confidence. Quinn Ewers, I do anticipate to come back. Sarkisian is got that program pointing in the right direction, and he knows a thing or two about it. Like, I hate saying it because I don't particularly like Sark as a coach, but I respect him as a coach, and that's exactly what he's got going on at Texas. Let's get to the other 2 teams that you mentioned or alluded to, Daniel. You said you don't think 4, you think 3. And so the last 2 teams, I'm going to give you actually a list of 3 teams that it could be, Daniel.
Okay. And let's do that. Let's talk about the candidates.
The candidates are Clemson to begin the year, start off the year, SEC kickoff or ACC, SEC crossover kickoff for college football against Clemson. Clemson is talented. They've been in the national conversation for years, for nigh a decade. They're a blue blood. Dabo can coach a national championship winning team. Like, I know that seems weird. I know he's goofy and ridiculous and gets punched by the beer cart at the golf course. I understand that, but it's there. So that's Clemson is the first.
That's not what happened to Dabo.
I understand that's not what happened. Look, I can neither confirm nor deny he was on a yacht with anybody.
That he was punched by Urban Meyer on a yacht.
Tell me that's not a headline you would want to see, though. Okay. Okay. So Clemson's number 1. Number 2 for this spot is, in fact, Ole Miss. Ole Miss has won the offseason. They're uber talented. They have a returning quarterback. They have the best offensive mind. They lose a running back. And please, for the love, Ole Miss fan, you're not here because you're off with some ridiculous outfit at some ridiculous gala doing some ridiculous fundraising for something that nobody cares about. But please, you lost a running back, and he was other talented, and he was electric.
Okay? He's better than your current running back. Your starting running back this year. He's better than him.
Period. And if you think you downgrade, and if you think, oh, don't worry, we'll make do. We don't have to have a running back. You ran the ball more times than you passed last year.
Oops.
Your
quarterback's still Jackson Dart.
Your quarterback's still Jackson Dart. There it is. Okay, it is Ole Miss, and then the third team, Daniel. I'm going to suppose Tennessee is the third team to me that's on this list.
Sure. Can I start? Can I just lead off with a simple statement?
Sure.
Tennessee ain't making no playoff, Clint.
Okay, there it is.
Tennessee ain't gonna make no playoff, Clint. Come on.
I'm just saying the candidates.
Come on.
Just
Come on.
look.
Okay.
Good
It's
defense.
cute.
If they have
It's cute.
improved quarterback play, Hupel
Well, they
has been
can't
told
not
to
have
be.
improved quarterback play. Joe Milton can throw the ball 150 miles
I'm
from
going to
his
tell you this right
knees.
now on a knee. I
He's
don't
down
care
by
what the
contact.
rules say. I don't care about that. Let him
No.
show you in a game.
People are not going to like this because you mentioned that Ole Miss did win the offseason, but I do not think Ole Miss is going to make the college football playoff. And I'll give you one simple reason why. They're Ole Miss. Do I need to keep going? Or have we covered enough ground here? Like, did we?
No, we've covered.
We're all on the same page here?
We're on
They're
the same
still
page.
Ole
Look,
Miss, and he's still Lane Kiffin.
there's a
So
reason where you have to go to the portal and get 5 or 6 starters. Like,
it's cute.
it's cute. It happens when you need a quarterback. Washington rode Penix to a national championship. I get that, but they also had a running back and they also had stout defense. That running back amassed for most of their offense, and when he went down, the whole entire game changed for Washington in that national championship. We just saw. Okay, you quarterback sure can get you over the hump, but when you need 5, 6, 7 starters in the portal, it's not a great look.
No, it's Clemson, Clint.
Ooh,
People are not gonna love this because
that's a spicy take.
Clemson is not Georgia's third most difficult opponent on the schedule. Do you see
That's
what
wild.
I did there?
I see what you did there.
Ole Miss on the road in Oxford, after all that I just said about them, is a more difficult game than Clemson on a neutral site to open the season. Georgia's going to beat Clemson. Do you know who else is going to beat Clemson? Probably no one on their schedule. Do you know why? Because they play in the ACC.
No, that's vaunted. That's vaunted.
Florida State gone. They out. Florida State out, y'all. That's over. That happened.
You don't
and now
make
it's
that
over.
much noise. You don't make that much kerfluffle. Look at what Oklahoma and Texas did to push to force the hand. Florida State gone, y'all.
She gone. So Clemson's going to win the ACC and get an automatic bid into the college football playoff. That's all you have to do to get into the playoff. You don't have to win 10 games in an SEC schedule if you're Clemson. All you have to do is win the ACC. And who's going to get in their way, Clint? Louisville? Is Louisville going to get in their way?
You know who's actually a bigger threat? Bigger threat than Louisville. Like Syracuse is a bigger threat.
Syracuse. Go back to Monday. We talked about it. Clemson's going to win the ACC. They're going to make the playoff. I do not think Ole Miss is going to make the playoff, even though they might beat Georgia. They might beat Georgia, but I don't think they're going to make the college football playoff.
You know what? This is going to, maybe I'm overreacting to this, but the more I think about it, I was all in on Ole Miss being a playoff contending team, running through the SEC. The more I think about it, Daniel, the more I think about relying on that run game, the more I think of just what happened to Michigan. Michigan relied on a run game and explosiveness. Blake Corum did, in fact, have a killer season, but it was the explosiveness in the national championship of Edwards that really solidified that breakaway DeAndre Swift type running, that Sony Michel, that Nick Chubb, that really vaulted them because JJ McCarthy is not it.
No,
he's not. If you draft JJ McCarthy as a NFL GM,
you're
automatic
the Falcons.
firing.
You're the Falcons.
Oh my gosh.
You are the Falcons.
Oh, if that happens, Daniel, if
just
the third,
embrace
fourth
it,
round,
Falcons fans. Aaron, if you're listening to this, Aaron, we love you, Aaron.
We do. We love you.
We need you to embrace it. JJ McCarthy is your future quarterback.
But the more I think about it, the more Ole Miss seems fraudulent to me, Daniel. And they might pick up a couple of key wins, but I think they are fraudulent. I think they're going to throw a couple of games. They're going to go off the rail on games they shouldn't lose.
I could easily see Ole Miss finishing 14th, 13th at 9-3.
Yeah, at 9. Yes, I can. So Clemson, Alabama, Texas. Those are the 3 teams that we would put good money on to make the playoff out of Georgia's schedule, which means Georgia fans, we might have lost 2 games. We might not be in the SEC championship game. But can I just encourage you with something? Hang all the SEC championship banners you want. We'll hang natties because that's what matters now in a tournament style 12-team playoff. So keep hanging your SEC banners.
Congratulations to all who
Congratulations.
celebrate. We've got something special for the third segment listeners coming up right after this.
This is FanDuel. Daniel just slid right on into this ad read like he going into somebody's DMs talking about the third segment here in a second. Easy. Well, it's good because loyal third segment listeners, you'll know, but FanDuel.com/lockedon make every moment more. They're the official sports book of Locked On Bulldogs, the official sports book of Locked On Podcast. And right now, Daniel and I are going to give you in the third segment something to listen to, because we might have something for you to go over to FanDuel and lay a bet. Put some coin on SEC
You might
basketball.
want to place a wager.
You might want to place a wager. And FanDuel is the place that Daniel and I both make our wagers. We love them. They are fast, they're reliable, they're easy. NFL season is going into the postseason, and right now you can get parlays in the Parlay Hub. You can make live bets, same day bets all over the place. FanDuel is where you need to go. And right now, first-time customers, if you put a $5 bet, you get $150 in bonus bets. That's right. Put a $5 bet on.
That's a lot.
That's sure. You get 150 back in bonus bets. FanDuel.com/lockedon. Make every moment more. Little third segment, 199. Glad you're here. Gurf, glad you're here. We love having you here. Pigskin Petey, Gurf is here.
He's here. Not in 1 second, he won't be, but he is.
I understand. No,
Georgia basketball team is in action tonight.
And he gone. Okay.
In the Stegman Coliseum.
Yes.
And they're going up against the Arkansas Razorbacks. Arkansas, a preseason top 25 team, and they are sitting at 9-5 right now and have a little bit fallen off of a cliff this year. Eric Musselman, the coach at Arkansas, has been in the dance, has made some noise, has had some really good seasons, some really good teams with Arkansas. We thought this was going to be another one with Brazile coming back, but Arkansas is a bit of a team in disarray right now. And they come in to Stegman Coliseum for Georgia's first home SEC game of the year. It's a Wednesday game, but I am trusting and believing that the atmosphere is actually going to be pretty electric in the Stegman Coliseum. Okay. We're going to need it to be. I'm going to say some words that I think you're going to be surprised by, Clint.
Okay.
But Georgia is rightfully favored by every sports book in the world to beat Arkansas tonight.
I just want to recap what just happened, because I think it may have gone over a few people's heads. We're talking about Georgia basketball to begin with. We're not talking about Georgia football against Arkansas. Okay, we're talking about Georgia basketball.
Sam Pittman ain't walking through that door.
Well, for many reasons. But we're talking about a top-ranked preseason team coming into UGA, into the Steg, against Mike White and the Georgia Bulldogs, who were not ranked, who predicted by many people, go look back, get receipts, many people to finish near dead last in the SEC.
Dead last.
And all of a sudden, fast forward a month, and your UGA Bulldogs are favored against a very good, very stout, very fundamentally sound Arkansas team.
Very talented.
Last year made a lot of noise. Favored.
Rightfully favored. It's not a mistake. Massive. Listen, Andy Katz has Georgia in his first 4 out of the NCAA tournament right now. Like this team is on the cusp of actually being in the conversation for March Madness, not because they get lucky in a tornado and win 4 games in 3 days in the SEC tournament, but because they're one of the teams that deserves to go to the NCAA tournament.
Correct.
Arkansas is a more talented team than Georgia, but Georgia's the better basketball team than
there's
Arkansas.
A distinguishing factor on
Big
those
difference.
Big difference.
The reason Georgia beats people in football, y'all, is because they are more talented and a better team. Both things. Georgia's a better basketball team right now, and that has been serving them well. Now, if they're going to win this game tonight, Clint, I said it on the recap show on Saturday, I'll say it again. They are going to have to make shots. Georgia's season will hinge on whether or not they can score the basketball, because I trust Georgia's defense. I trust Georgia's ability to defend in the half court, to make things difficult for teams, to force teams to shoot below their season averages in terms of percentages from 2 and from 3. I trust Georgia to do that. What I do not yet trust Georgia to do is consistently score. And so they're going to need guys like Jabri. They're going to need guys like Noah Thomason. They're going to need guys to put the ball in the basket if they're going to have success in this game.
This game, it's going to tell us a lot. From this game, we're going to learn, I think, more. We were eye-opened with Missouri that this team is physical, can rebound, can finish games. That's something we never would have said of Georgia teams before. I was confident heading down the stretch with a lead. I wasn't nervous. I knew, okay, we're going to hit our free throws. We're going to play great defense. We're going to get the ball back rebounding. It's going to be fantastic. Now this game is going to be, can we continue the hot streaks? Guys can get their buckets on this team. Lots of guys can score. We were shooting at a clip that was incredible from 3-point range first half against Missouri. If we continue that, if all of a sudden from the floor, our jumpers, our threes, if they're hitting, look out, because that's where all of a sudden this team is now complete. If we continue the stout defense, which we said, I believe in 100%, and I was wrong. I didn't understand who Mike White was. If you need a little quick tutorial, let me help you, Georgia fan that's new to the basketball team. Mike White cares about playing defense and stopping teams from scoring. That's going to continue no matter what, because it's well coached. And now these guys get hot. Shooters touch keeps going. Look out, because this is no longer a first 4 out of the tournament. If we start hitting shots
we're moving
over
on
the course of this next 4 games, if we split and we go 500 the next couple of games, the next 3-4 games down in SEC play, and we do so because we're shooting well from the floor, it's going to be chaos over here on the podcast.
This game against Arkansas on Wednesday is it's a game Georgia's favored in. Georgia needs to win it.
Yes.
But the game on Saturday at home against top 5 Tennessee, this is the game that I'm going to say Georgia needs to win, because the thing that gets you into the tournament. Now, Georgia got plenty of opportunities like this in SEC play. By the way, you look at these power rankings, Alabama is in the top 10. Auburn is in the top 10. Tennessee is in the top 10. Kentucky's in the top 15. There's going to be plenty of opportunities for Georgia to get big-time resume wins. But right now, that's the only thing Georgia needs right now. They have 3 losses on the season to Oregon, Providence, and Miami, all 3 of which are tournament teams. None of those losses are bad. They have wins on the season against Wake Forest, who's probably a tournament team, but that's their only win over who is projected right now to be in the tournament. A road win against Missouri is great, but that's not a tournament team. Right now, Arkansas is not a tournament team, but you've got to start stacking up some of these wins against significant opponents. Arkansas is an important win because it maintains home court advantage in the SEC, but on Saturday, the game against Tennessee, that's the NCAA tournament game right there. Like, that's the game that if you're Georgia and you want to make the tournament, you got to win some of those. So it's going to be an interesting week for Georgia basketball.
That's exactly right. It is going to be very interesting. He's Daniel. I am Clint. This is Locked On Bulldogs, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We'll see you guys next time where we talk about Georgia basketball and Georgia football all year long. We'll see you guys then.
See ya.